Well, good morning. It's John Terry at Vision Advisors, and thanks for joining me for this session of Vision Success Academy. We host these classes the first Friday of every month at 10 a.m. Central. So if you want to put a reminder on your calendar to make sure you're tuning in, do that, and we would love to have you be a part of that. I'll also be sending out a calendar reminder that you can click and it'll automatically load that specific date and time on your calendar through the end of 2022, so you can make sure you've got that time blocked off and have an opportunity to hear what we are sharing. If you're registered for the event and for whatever reason you miss a session, you'll have a limited opportunity to catch that replay before we archive it. Now, I want to start with some basics this morning because I've got some individuals that have joined us today that specifically asked for this training, that for them, an annuity is a foreign word. They worked in the Medicare supplement space, or they worked in another area outside of selling annuities, and they want to learn the basics of annuities and what those look like. So for those of you that are seasoned, this is going to be a refresher for you in the first few minutes. And then we're going to get into the most important part, selling annuities and the conversations that generate sales. And that's where I want to spend some time wrapping up this particular session that we're together. If you've got any questions as we're going through, feel free and drop those in the chat, and we'll do my best to answer those towards the end as well. And I want to thank you for being here. So let's jump right in and get started. The first question, especially for those that are new to the annuity space and they've never sold an annuity before, and maybe at this point don't even know how to spell annuity, what is an annuity? Well, here's something you need to understand about an annuity. An annuity is one of only 3 investment vehicles available to the public that can guarantee an income that your client cannot outlive. Social Security is essentially a government-backed annuity. Individuals pay into that during their working career, and when they retire, they've got a guaranteed income for the rest of their lives. If your client is fortunate enough to work for the government or work for a large corporation that offers a pension has an annuity option, again, guaranteeing lifetime income. An annuity is essentially a personal pension, and you may have heard it referred to that in the past, but it is an opportunity for an individual to place money into a financial instrument that is going to do one thing and do it very well. It's going to guarantee an income that you'll never outlive. Now, an annuity is what? It's an accumulation vehicle offered by an insurance company that offers tax-deferred growth of principal and multiple payout options. So if they want guaranteed income for their lifetime, fantastic. But what if they only need guaranteed income for 5 years or 10 years, or they want a specific amount of money for a certain number of years? Those are options that are available. And there's a lot of flexibility in an annuity that you don't have with Social Security or a pension. So the uniqueness of what an annuity does when it comes to income planning can be extremely powerful. Now, why do people buy annuities? Based upon a number of studies that we've done and looking at sales psychology and understand the reasons buy annuities, there's really 3 primary reasons. And as you're listening to your clients and having conversation, if one of these phrases comes up or something similar, this should be a cue to you that this individual has a bias towards annuities, or if they've heard something negative about annuities, at least they have a positive bias towards what an annuity can do for them. Number 1, if somebody mentions safe money, they want a safe place to put their money so it has an opportunity to grow, but not be exposed to market risk. That's one of the main reasons people look to using an annuity, very similar to why they would use a bank CD. The advantage of an annuity over a bank CD, twofold. Interest rates tend to be higher, and unlike a CD that they're going to pay taxes on that gain inside that CD every year, even if they're not withdrawing the money. With an annuity, the income that's being earned is going to accumulate on a tax-deferred basis. Now, that brings us to reason number 2. For an individual that wants to lower their current taxation, but they still want to have a place to put money to grow, annuities give them an opportunity to have superior accumulation, whether they're looking at a fixed interest option or an indexing option that we'll talk about a little bit later. And of course, the third reason people look to buy annuities is what? Income guarantees. Flexible distribution options that can be time sensitive, can be dollar amount sensitive, or can be an income that's guaranteed for 1 lifetime or 2 lifetimes. Now, understand this, an annuity is a life insurance contract. It is a contract between the consumer and an insurance company. And what happens in the process? The consumer agrees to give the insurance company either a lump sum of money or make periodic payments over time. The insurance company agrees to accept that money. They're going to credit it with a specified rate of return, and they're going to make that money available at some point in the future for either a lump sum withdrawal, into periodic withdrawals, or the opportunity to create a guaranteed income stream. And the company is going to define what options are available based upon the carrier and the product that is used. Now, in an annuity and in a contract, there are some parties that you need to understand from a technical perspective. Again, for those of you that are new to the annuity world, the owner is the individual who pays the premium and retains the rights of ownership. The owner has the ability to change the beneficiary or to adjust, if it's periodic premium, how much they're paying in, and they've got some specific rights of ownership that come with the owner. Now, sometimes the owner is also the annuitant. Sometimes the annuitant can be a different party. The annuitant is the individual who's going to receive the income payments once that annuity goes into the distribution phase and money begins to pay out. And then there is the beneficiary. That's the individual or individuals who will either continue to receive income payments or get a lump sum balance of what's left over in the contract after the death of the named annuitant. Important you understand those three roles and what the responsibilities are for each of those. Now, when it comes to premium payments into an annuity can be done a couple of different ways. I touched on that already, but let's look at it again. A premium payment to an annuity can be a single premium, i.e. a lump sum of money. I'm moving money from a 401k and I'm rolling that over into a lump sum single premium annuity. Or maybe I'm working as a school teacher or a government employee, and I want to have money withdrawn from my check every month while I'm working to put that money into an annuity that ultimately I will retire on down the road. That is what we refer to as a flexible premium annuity. Now, a single premium annuity can be an annuity that can be immediately annuitized, something we call a SPIA, a single premium immediate annuity, or it can be a single premium annuity that the income payout is going to be deferred more than 12 months. That's what we refer to as a deferred annuity. Any income payments that come in the first 12 months is what we deem an immediate annuity. Outside of 12 months, a deferred annuity. Now, if you're again working in the payroll market, all flexible premium annuities are considered deferred annuities. There's some terms that you may see referred to in the industry. And again, if you're new, let me just get a little bit of jargon in your understanding. If you hear the word SPIA and you're having conversation with someone in our office and they mention SPIA, what is that? Single premium, lump sum, immediate annuity. They can access the funds in the first 12 months. There's also what we refer to as an SPDA, single premium deferred annuity, lump sum in, waiting more than 12 months to take money out. And then there's also what we call an FPDA, flexible premium deferred annuity. Now, when we think about timeframes in an annuity, there's really two areas we need to understand as it relates to annuities. Number one, the accumulation period. That is the growth period during which the lump sum that's been deposited or the ongoing periodic payments going into the annuity are going to be credited at a specified rate of return. Now, remember, those funds grow on a tax-deferred basis, and the client is not paying any income taxes on the internal growth. So their money is earning interest, their interest is earning interest, and the money they would have paid in taxes is also earning interest. This is often referred to as the triple compounding effect of annuities. Now, there's also the annuity period. That's the payout period during which the principal and or the accumulated interest is ultimately paid out to the named annuitant. That's based upon an actuarial table that's going to be used to calculate the life expectancy of that individual, and that will determine the amount of a payout if you're doing a guaranteed lifetime or a period certain that they want a guaranteed income for 5 years or 10 years, but not necessarily for their entire life. Now, we do need to understand the difference between immediate and deferred, and I want to make sure you cover that. And I touched on that earlier, but let's just look at it one more time. An immediate annuity is any annuity in which income payments will begin within the first 12 months of the annuity being funded, i.e. putting money in. And then secondly, there's a deferred annuity where income payments are going to begin more than 12 months after the premium is deposited into the annuity. Now, how do annuities grow? Annuities can grow a number of ways, and that interest is credited using different strategies depending on the type of annuity that you may be selling to your client. There is a fixed rate annuity, very similar to what we see in a bank CD. It's going to be a specified rate of return. If you go to the Vision Advisors website and you go to our Annuity Tools web page and you look at that, it's going to show you a list of the top 2-year, 3-year, 4-year, 5-year, all the way up to 10-year multi-year guarantee annuities that are going to show you the fixed rate as a comparison to such as a bank CD. Now, there's also an index crediting option where interest is credited based upon the performance of an underlying index like the S&P 500, the Morgan Stanley, the SG CAR. We'll talk about these index creditings and I'll give you a little bit more in depth of how they work in just a moment. But important to understand one thing about index crediting to make sure your clients understand this. If a client is buying an indexed annuity, they're not buying a direct investment into the stock market. The insurance carrier is taking their money and they're investing that in their general account. They're going to put that predominantly in bonds, but the carrier is going to take a portion of the money that they would have put into their general account and they're going to go buy options on the index that has been selected by the client. If that option ends up to be in the money or it is grown and it is worth money, at the end of the option term, they're going to execute that option and they're going to share the profits of that as an interest credit back to the client. They are not actually investing in the stock market and directly participating in that index, because that would be a variable annuity that you have to be securities licensed to sell. Now, on the other hand, if the options expire worthless that the carrier has purchased or the market goes down, then those options are going to expire. And essentially that client is going to get a zero credit that year. But unlike a variable annuity or a mutual fund or an ETF, if the market goes down, the worst your client is going to experience is a zero. They don't participate in the downs of the market. So it's a great way to have conversation with your client to say, I can give you some upside potential, but in exchange for not giving you all the upside and all the downside, I can give you some of the upside, but none of the downside. Would that be of interest to you? If the client says yes, they're a candidate to have a further conversation about an index annuity. Now, when we look at index crediting, how does that work? Based upon how the interest is calculated, it's calculated using several different strategies that you need to be aware of and understand how they work. The first of those is what we would see referred to as a cap. Now, when you see a fixed index annuity that's offering a cap rate, here's what's going to happen. When an option is exercised in the money and there is a gain realized, the client is going to participate in the realized gain of that index up to a specific cap. So as an example, if there is a 4% cap on an index annuity and the market goes up 3%, the client's going to get 100% of that 3%. If the market goes up 4%, the client is going to get 100% of that 4% increase. If, however, the market goes up 6%, they're going to get a cap of 4% because that is what was purchased in the option. The insurance carrier's not keeping the rest of the money. They purchased an option based upon a specific and desired outcome that they want. And if the option is not in the money, they're not going to get that rate of return. So it's not a situation where there's a 6% gain and the insurance company's keeping 2% and only paying 4%. It's an option that was purchased so that it would create the opportunity to generate up to a 4% return for the client. That's an important distinction you need to understand. The second way you may see interest credit is through what we call a participation rate. Now, in a participation rate, the client is going to share in a specified percentage of the realized return of the index, but no cap. So as an example, you see here on the screen, if there's a 75% participation rate and the market goes up 4%, the client is going to get 75% of 4%. If the market goes up 6%, 75% of 6%. If the market goes up 10%, 75% of 10%. So you can see how the different strategies work based upon whether or not there's a cap or a participation. Some annuities may offer a participation rate with a cap, so you may see variations of that. The third option you may see in terms of index crediting is what's referred to as a spread. The contract is going to guarantee 100% of realized gains above a specified minimum. So as an example, if there's a 2% spread in an annuity and the index goes up 3, take the first 2 out because the option was purchased with a 2% spread factored into it, then they would get a 1% credit. If the index goes up 4, keep 2 out because there's a 2% spread built into the option, 2% would be credited. Market goes up 6, you can do the math. Back away 2, they earn 4. Market goes up 10, back out 2, they earn 8. Those are the way caps, participations, and spreads work. Important understanding to know that so that your clients can have a good understanding of how returns are going to be credited inside of an index annuity. Now, many people purchase an annuity because they want an income, but they may have heard a story that if I buy an annuity and I turn that into an income stream, I've given up all the rights to my money and I only get the payout. Now, that is old school annuitization, and many insurance carriers today realize that many people don't necessarily want to annuitize their contract, meaning they convert that lump sum to a guaranteed income stream, but there is no longer any cash value in the contract. So a few years ago, we saw insurance carriers start coming out with an income rider. Now, there's normally a small fee for an income rider, but with that, it creates a separate account valuation on the money that is in the account growing at some specified rate of return that's going to be used as a calculation to determine how much income can be guaranteed in the future. We typically see that as what's referred to as a roll-up rate or a fixed rate. It is a specified rate of return for a specified number of years. Now, you may have a client that purchases an annuity, and let's say it's got a cap rate of 4%. That annuity, if they're buying it for income, may have an income rider that's rolling up at 7%, and it's going to roll up based upon the account value at a 7% interest rate for up to 10 years. Now, that income that's calculated there, that calculation is solely for income purposes in the future. That 7% roll-up rate is not a number that they can use to go in and say, oh, I'm earning 7% on my money, and I can pull that out in a lump sum. It is simply a separate calculation for guaranteed income purposes. Now, another variation that we've seen of the income riders in recent years is what we call a performance-based income rider. And in a performance-based income rider, the guarantee as far as income is going to be based upon the performance of an underlying index. So it looks very much like what we saw in the accumulation component, but it's performance-based. Now, performance-based may be attractive when the market's going up. If the market's going down, performance-based may not be that attractive. So again, understanding the risk profile of your client, many clients get and they understand a 7% roll-up or a 6% roll-up or a 5% roll-up. That's simple math. They get that. With a performance-based income rider, it's more of an if-come. If the index does this, this is what your income's going to be. The vast majority of clients, at least from the experience of the producers that we worked with, love the idea of a guaranteed rate of return so they know exactly how much money they're going to have in the future. And what we have typically seen is the fixed rate be the predominant income rider sold. However, what we have seen is younger clients that are much more risk tolerant and are willing to have more time for their money to grow, like the idea of a performance-based rider, and they're willing to roll the dice, so to speak, in some way to see if a performance-based rider could outperform the fixed rate that's offered. Now, in old school annuitization, the old way that they would take money was they would convert that to a guaranteed stream of income. So let's say a client had $250,000 and they wanted to convert that into an annuity. Under old school annuitization, they lost that $250,000 in value. And as a result of that, they got a guaranteed income stream that was either guaranteed for that individual's life, was guaranteed for 2 lives, or was guaranteed for that individual's life plus a guaranteed minimum number of years payout. One of the downsides of annuitization, especially if you took what was referred to as a life-only annuity, and let's say you put 250,000 in and you were receiving some number from that. Let's say it was 12,500 a year and you died after 2 years, only having received $25,000. Under a life-only annuitization, there was no cash value. There was nothing left over to the heirs. The insurance company won, the client lost. So as a result of that, that was one of the reasons we saw income riders come out. Because with an income rider, you got the same guarantees as an annuitization in having guaranteed lifetime income, but you don't lose access to the underlying principal. As a result of that, an income rider can be started and stopped, just like the keys to a car can start an engine and turn it off. An income rider can be turned on. And depending on the carrier's rules, you could stop that income and then turn it back on in the future. And the carrier is going to assume the payout risk if the individual outlives the accumulated value. But in the event the client doesn't have an opportunity to receive all the money they put into the annuity over their lifetime, whatever is left over in that annuity using an income rider is going to go to named beneficiaries, either in a lump sum or as part of a payout. Now, old school annuitization, if we looked at old school annuitization, just in case your client has an annuity that doesn't have an income option, there are annuities that are specifically focused on growth. We talked about that earlier. And as a result of that, there are income options available in those contracts that don't have an annuity income option, such as an income rider. What is that? Well, again, life only. It's going to pay a specified sum for the life of the individual. There can be a life annuity with a guarantee of a refund of at least what was put into the contract. So they're guaranteed to get their principal, and in some of those guaranteed a minimum amount of interest. There's also a life annuity with a guaranteed payout period of maybe life plus 10 years. So if the individual dies 5 years in, somebody's going to continue to get the money for another 5 years. If it's a life annuity with a 10 or 20-year guarantee and they die 10 years into retirement, a surviving spouse, an heir would continue to receive that income for the next 10 years. You've got the opportunity for a joint life payout so that it's going to pay for 2 lives, but again, nothing left over for the heirs. Or you can say, I want a payout that's going to guarantee all this money's paid out over 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, 11 years, whatever that number is. You can use a period certain payout, or you can have a payment certain. I want to receive $1,000 a month every month until I run out of cash, however long that takes. Those are some of the ways that you can get money out of a growth annuity outside of just simply doing partial withdrawals and simply pulling money out incrementally. Now, how are payouts determined when we're looking at creating guaranteed income? There are 5 factors that are used by the insurance company to determine how annuity payouts are structured. Number 1, they're going to look at the individual's age. They're going to look at their sex, because we know that females tend to outlive males by an average of 5 to 7 years. They're going to take an assumed rate of return that money's going to earn over the estimated lifetime. They're then going to look at what is the amount of money they're looking for if it's a guaranteed payout of some type. They're going to calculate in the company expenses, and that will determine the amount of income. Now, there's some specific terms that you need to understand about annuities that your clients may ask about, especially if you've never sold annuities before, that are important terms just to understand. And then I want to get into some of the sales conversations around annuities that can actually help you sell more annuities. Annuities maintain what are called non-forfeiture provisions. Now, what does that mean? If an individual in a payroll deduction market, as an example, they're working for a school district and they're making periodic payments into an annuity, and they stop making premium payments because they either quit work or moved, or for whatever reason, they stop making payments, they don't lose the money they've paid in. That money continues to sit there. It continues to grow. And then when they get ready to retire or they get outside of the surrender period of the policy, they have the rights to access that money in a variety of different ways. It's not like a term life insurance policy that when you quit paying the premium, the benefit goes away. Non-forfeiture simply means you're not forfeiting benefits available to you for the money you've already paid into the contract. Now, some annuities also come with a market value adjustment. This is important to understand because the market value adjustment is a penalty or a bonus, depending on where interest rates are moving, that the insurance carrier may impose on a contract that has a market value adjustment. Now, when does this happen? If an annuity is surrendered prior to the maturity date, the insurance carrier's got to go back into their general account and they've got to sell off some assets they had invested to give that client their money back. So if they're having to prematurely sell off an investment of money they had tied up for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, they may experience a gain or a loss depending on where interest rates are at the moment. As a result of that, this gain or loss in the premature selling of assets that the company has invested in is going to be passed on to the policyholder as a market value adjustment. So here's an example. If the interest rates have increased since the company made an investment in their portfolio for their general fund, the carrier will have an opportunity to earn more money in the future. This could result in a positive market value adjustment, and the client could actually be paid a bonus to take money out of low earning assets so the company could reinvest in a higher earning asset and make more money. By the same token, if interest rates have decreased from the time the company invested in their general fund, and as a result of that, if the carrier has to go back and reinvest money at a lower rate of return, then the client is going to see an additional penalty imposed, which we refer to as a negative MVA. Now, understand too that annuities are a life insurance contract. They are designed to protect against the risk of living too long. So all annuities outside of an annuity that has been annuitized has a death benefit that is payable to a named beneficiary, either in a lump sum or as an income stream. Again, the only option where that doesn't come into play is if the contract has been annuitized, because under old school annuitization, the individual gives up the right to the lump sum for a guarantee. That's why we've seen income riders become so popular. This was the one negative that clients didn't like. They didn't like the idea of giving up access to the lump sum in the event they needed it, simply to have an income stream. Now, let me speak just for a minute about bonus annuities, because a bonus annuity is an interesting tidbit in terms of the way some annuities are structured. A bonus annuity does what? It provides an upfront immediate credit to the amount of premium deposited into that annuity. What's it designed to do? To create an upfront immediate boost to the amount of money deposited. Let's say there's a bonus annuity with a 10% bonus available to your client, and they drop $100,000 into a bonus annuity. That $100,000 is going to be immediately worth $110,000 because they received a 10% upfront bonus. Now, when do we use a bonus annuity? A bonus annuity may be used to offset a surrender penalty if you're replacing an annuity, or if a client has been in an investment that has lost money and they need some way to recoup part of their losses. Maybe they were in a mutual fund or they were in some other type of investment that was market linked, and all of a sudden they took a bath in the market and they lost 15, 20%. A bonus annuity could help them make some of that money back by giving them an upfront bonus. But again, there's a trade-off to that and understanding what it's for in terms of how it works. So we do need to understand that. Now, here's the pros to a bonus annuity. If a client has an early need for cash, or they need to offset a loss, or a combination of the two, the bonus in a bonus annuity can immediately leverage the amount of dollars they put up in terms of a premium deposit, immediately increasing the cash value. But there's also a con to a bonus annuity you need to understand, and that's this. Because the carrier is paying an upfront bonus, and that's cash money that they're immediately crediting to the value of that annuity, there's less money that's going to be available for the insurance company to go buy options for the index crediting that is typically part of a bonus annuity. As a result of that, if there's not as much money, the company can't buy options sufficient to give them higher caps and rates. So what we typically see in bonus annuities with over time, bonus annuities typically see lower rates and caps. So over a 10-year period of time, the performance on a bonus annuity often is going to underperform a non-bonus annuity. So part of the question is when to bonus or not to bonus. It depends upon the client's needs. If you're one of those individuals that says, I can only sell a bonus annuity, that's a bias that you have. But in this world in which we live today, where we have to be serving the client's best interest, you've got to identify if the bonus is going to benefit the client or actually harm the client over time. Because if they get an upfront bonus and their rates and caps and the ability to participate in that underlying index is lower and sometimes significantly lower, is the long-term performance going to be a drain versus not using a bonus annuity at all? So let's talk now about conversation starters. You've got an opportunity to meet with a client. You're selling med sup, you're doing life insurance, long-term care, whatever it is. And now all of a sudden, you want to have an opportunity to talk to your clients about annuities. Let me start with this. You can't be a one-trick pony. Now, what do I mean by that? If you go tell your clients, I'm your Medicare expert, in the mind of your client, your only area of expertise is Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage or Part D. They don't see you as having expertise in any other area. If by the same token, you come in and say, I am a long-term care expert or I am a life insurance expert, all of a sudden in the mind of the client, again, sales psychology and understanding human behavior and how people think, when you say, this is who I am, you have put yourself in a box in the minds of your client. And when they need to seek expertise in an area outside of what you have told them you're an expert in, they're not going to seek you out. So rule number one, in terms of a conversation starter, if you want to sell more annuities, don't pigeonhole yourself in the minds of your client by saying, I just do this. So I want to challenge you to think, when someone says, what do? You need to come up with a different way to tell them what you do. And maybe it's, I help people create and manage wealth. I help people create a guaranteed income they'll never outlive. I help people make sure the third of their lifetime they're going to spend in retirement will be the best years of their life. Now, statements like that are automatically going to cause somebody to lean in and ask the question, how do you do that? Now, did I mention insurance? No, I did not. Some people have an aversion to insurance and some people don't. By telling people the desired outcome they're going to get as a result of having a conversation with you, you now intrigue your client in a way that you otherwise would not have if you came in and said, I'm an insurance agent. You know, it's funny, for years I've traveled and I've spoke as a financial success coach. And when I get on an airplane, if I want to be left alone and somebody says, tell me what you do, and I tell them I'm an insurance agent, they don't want to talk to me unless they're specifically interested about insurance, which I find most people aren't on an airplane. But if I get on a plane and I want to have a conversation and somebody says, tell me what you do, I tell people I help individuals just like you discover how to have more financial success in their life than they've ever had. And then I shut up. And they lean in and say, well, that's interesting. How do you do that? Now I have an opportunity to have a conversation with them about a variety of areas I have expertise in. The same is true for you. Make sure you're not pigeonholing yourself in and you've cut yourself off from the annuity conversation before it ever gets started because you made yourself a one-trick pony. Now, conversation starter number two, we want to make sure that you are not assuming. You know what they say about assumptions? Remember this, it's not about you. I'm still amazed, having been in this industry for over 30 years, at the number of agents I talk to that they'll say, all I sell is a bonus annuity, or all I sell is an income annuity, or all I sell is X, Y, or Z. Well, number one, that tells me they've never taken the time to educate themselves about the other financial solutions that are out there, and they're comfortable selling one product or one idea and one concept, and they don't want to learn something new. But here's what you need to understand. When you're meeting with a client, it's not about you. It's not about what you want to sell. It's not about what you think the client needs. And it's not about what you're comfortable selling. If you're truly going to be a sales professional that wants to sell more annuities, more life insurance, more long-term care, more of the types of products and services you have available in your portfolio, you need to understand this. When you're having a conversation with a client, it needs to be all about them. The goal of meeting with a client is to do what? To identify and understand their goals, their dreams, their objectives. You want to identify and understand the unique money problem they want you to solve right now. Now, you also need to understand that your clients have more than one money problem. But right now, one is the most pressing, and that's why they agreed to meet with you. And as a result of that, you need to identify what is the number one problem they want you to solve. And in that conversation, what's the number two? What's the number three? And what's the number four problem? Because now you've got an opportunity to prioritize helping them get their financial affairs in order. And then your job as a financial professional is not to pitch a product. Your job is to find a solution that will allow them to accomplish their goals, their dreams, or objectives, or will solve a money problem they want you to solve. When they say yes to the solution, the desired outcome that they want, you can then introduce the product as the tool you're going to use to make the solution happen. One of the ways I see far too many financial professionals lose sales, and they lose them every single day, is they walk in the door and they immediately throw an illustration in front of the client. And the client now all of a sudden is singularly focused on that product that may or may not solve their problem. The client wants to know, as an example, I want to make sure, John, when I retire, my Social Security check is going to be $2,500 a month. I've got $500,000 I've saved in my 401k, and I need an extra $1,500 a month for the rest of my life to make sure that I can live and pay my bills. They don't care whether it's an annuity, life insurance, or some magic product that is yet to be invented. They want to know when I walk in the door and sit down with them, I can show them a solution that's going to guarantee them that $1,500 a month that solves their problem. Now, in the conversation, we may discover they need more than $1,500, and I want to set the expectations appropriately. But when I meet with the client, I'm not going to walk in and say, hey, here's a great product from XYZ carrier, and let me tell you about this product. And you go into the features of this product. They don't care about the product. They want to know that the solution you're bringing is going to solve the problem. And when you go back to the client and meet with them and say, all right, when we met the first time, John, you told me that you wanted to have a $1,500 a month guaranteed income. I found a solution that will generate not $1,500 a month, but it will generate $1,800 a month. And it will guarantee that for the rest of your life, and will continue to pay your wife for as long as she lives if she outlives you. Does that solve your problem? When they say yes, guess what? They already bought the annuity before they ever saw it. You then have an opportunity, having affirmed that you've solved their problem and getting that yes, you've now engaged a law of influence that says when you get someone to make a commitment and say yes, they're much more willing to say yes the second time and the third time and the fourth time. It's a powerful tool of influence in the psychology of selling that's going to allow you to create more sales by getting a buy-in on the solution. Leave the product in your portfolio. Leave it in your backpack. Leave it in your suitcase. Whatever it is you're carrying around, leave it there until you get the buy-in on the solution, and then say, let me show you the tool that I'm going to use to generate this $1,800 a month. Then they get an understanding of the product that becomes the tool. Insurance producers are way too quick to jump to the tool without even knowing if the tool is actually what the client wants and desires to solve the problem. So when you're talking with your clients, what are the conversations you want to be listening for? As you're engaging in dialogue with a client and you're having conversation with them, which you should be doing, especially in the first appointment, it should be about asking questions to get the client to tell you exactly what it is they want you to do for them. And if you ask enough questions and stop talking about yourself and talking about your solutions and assuming they need this or guessing they need that or walking in with your bias or your preconceived idea of how you're going to solve their problem, just shut up and listen and let them talk. Here's some things you want to listen for. They may make a statement like, I'm getting ready to retire soon, and I'm really not sure what I'm going to do with that money that I've saved over the last 20 years working for XYZ company. Or they may make a statement, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with my 401k. I don't know if I want to leave it there or if I roll it over or really what it's worth and how much income I could get out of that. In conversation, you may hear a statement like, I'm concerned about outliving my income. You may hear a statement like, I'm taking a killing in the market. Another conversation you may hear, I'm looking for a safe place to put some money that offers a reasonable rate of return. And when I talk to my bank, I'm not really happy with what I'm hearing. Maybe it's a conversation as you're dialoguing with a client or you're having a cup of coffee and you're visiting with them. They make a comment about the stock market and the crazy gyrations we're seeing right now. And they say something like this, I like it when the market's going up, but I sure hate it when the market's going down right now. I've lost 20% in my 401k in the last 3 weeks, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Or maybe it's a conversation that they're unhappy with their bank or their credit union. They come in and say, I just got my renewal rate on my CD and it stinks. I don't know of any other safe money options that are out there. Do you? They just set you up for a conversation if you're listening for the conversation. I'm concerned about long-term care, but I've got some pre-existing health issues. Well, guess what? There are annuities that have a chronic care rider that can be purchased for a very nominal fee that allows them to have additional money, often doubling the amount of money that they would receive from an income rider for a specified period of time, typically 3 to 5 years, to help pay for long-term care related expenses if they can't perform 2 of 6 activities of daily living. And many of these annuities that have these chronic care or long-term care riders have no medical underwriting. They simply have to wait 2 years, 3 years, some period of time before they're eligible for that benefit. But then in the event they can't perform 2 of 6 ADLs, now they have the ability to lean into and utilize an annuity as a way to help defray some of the expenses related with long-term care and give them the additional dollars to be able to stay in the comfort and privacy of their own home where they prefer to stay. Or maybe it's a conversation like, I've been reading a lot about Social Security and I'm not really sure when I need to turn Social Security on and start taking my Social Security retirement benefits. We recently did a training for about 8 of our agents that invited their clients in for a workshop on understanding Social Security. And we talked about the advantages and disadvantages of early claiming of Social Security versus claiming at full retirement age versus claiming and getting those delayed credits of 8% up to the age of 70. It's a great conversation to have with your clients because far too many individuals simply claim Social Security at age 62, not realizing they're giving up about 25% of the benefit that they could receive if they waited to full retirement age, and as much as 75% of what they could receive if they waited to the age of 70. When someone starts having a Social Security conversation, it's an opportunity to talk about where an annuity could bridge the gap and generate some income, maybe using a SPIA or a guaranteed payout annuity for a specified period of time with a portion of 401k money to allow that Social Security benefit to continue to grow. Because remember this about Social Security, at the death of a family member, husband and wife, typically it's the husband first, the surviving spouse gets the greater of the 2 checks, but 1 check goes away. And if the individual took their Social Security at age 62, they're leaving significantly less to a surviving spouse than they could have left them if they waited to full retirement age or waited till age 70 to get those deferred credits. This is a great annuity conversation to have. But if you're not actively listening, and as they're talking, you're thinking about what you want to sell them, you're going to miss these subtle conversation pieces they may make in passing. And if you're not attentively listening and paying attention, you're going to miss many sales opportunities that are staring in the face every single day, and you're walking right past them because you're too busy thinking about what you want to say next rather than listening to what the client is telling you they want you to solve. Here's another one that you may hear. I want to make sure that my wife is protected when I'm gone. When you hear that conversation, this should lean you into either a life insurance solution or an annuity solution, because sadly, 80% of elderly widows, 75% or older, their sole source of income is Social Security due to a lack of planning. Now, that's a failure on your part, my part, and the financial services industry part as a whole for not doing a good job in giving clients the guidance and advice and helping them make an informed decision, understanding the importance of planning for that surviving spouse and other individuals such as special needs kids that may require care the rest of their lives when mom and dad are gone, and making sure that's addressed. And annuities can help play a valuable role in making that happen. Now, when you get an opportunity to get with the client and you're going to ask questions, you want to make sure the questions you're asking are really focused on 3 things. It's about gathering facts. And what are the facts you want to gather in the client conversation? Here they are. What do they own? What are the assets they currently own in their portfolio? They have a home, they have a car, they have a bank account, they probably have a savings account, they probably have some money in investments, they may have a 401k, they may have an IRA, they may have a Roth. We need to understand all of the financial assets that they own. The second question you want to dig into is, why did they buy it? Why did they go and put money in a 401k? Why did they go put money in a Roth IRA? Why did they have so much money in their savings account? Why did they buy it, whatever it is, which leads you to the third question. What do they want it to do for them? What do they want that 401k? What is the objective for that money? They've got money sitting in a CD. Is that money they want to use for retirement, or is that money they want to make sure they're going to leave so they can leave some money to their grandkids to help pay for college? Doing the digging and identifying what they own, why they own it, and what they want it to do can open up the opportunities to have an annuity conversation, a single premium life insurance conversation that they could take CD money, roll it into a single premium annuity, significantly leverage that money they want to leave to their grandkids, and leave it as a tax-free death benefit to give their grandkids more money to go to school. The fourth question that you want to understand as you're having conversation with the client, not only what they own, why they bought it, what they want that particular asset to do for them. This is a very important question. Is what you're currently invested in working? Is it getting you to where you want to go, or has it stumbled, fallen, or failed in some way? And then the very last question you want to be able to answer, and this is where you're going to go do your homework on the back end. Is there a better way than what they're doing right now to solve the problem that they want that particular asset to solve for them? I just mentioned the CD for the grandkids. A single premium life insurance solution could be a better way, but here's the problem with consumers. Most consumers, in a study that was done by Boston College a few years ago, here's what they found. When it comes to financial literacy, most consumers flunked Financial Literacy 101. When they don't know what they don't know, they don't know what they don't know. And as a result of that, they're simply acting on information they got from another source, a friend, a family, a neighbor, a coworker, another financial advisor that's not as smart and intelligent and has all the things in their portfolio that you do. And you can now come in as the authority figure, the expert, the leader in the industry that is leading them in a direction to help them achieve financial success in life by introducing them to solutions they didn't even know existed. Now, this requires that you get your own biases and your own preconceptions out of the way and be willing to look at what they want their money to do for them and look at the best and most efficient way to get that done. It may mean you've got to learn a new product. You've got to get past just understanding how the S&P works and understanding other indexes. It might mean learning about annuities like many of you now are learning for the very first time on this call today. Or it might mean learning about a financial product or service you've never sold before if that serves the needs of your client well. Or it may mean partnering with an individual that has expertise in that area, and together you serve the client and work out a revenue sharing arrangement. Whatever works for you, you want to serve your clients at the very highest level. And when you're asking these questions, what they own, why they bought it, you're showing the fact that, hey, This is a psychology thing in the buying psychology of human intelligence that's extremely valuable, and it boosts your value with the client. Why? When you ask them what they own and why they bought it, they're saying they want to understand my thinking behind this, and I get an opportunity to tell them how smart I was. And they want to know how smart I am. You just elevated their status, that they made a good decision to do something. And when they get a chance to tell you why, you get a chance to brag on that solution, but then use that as a way to say, as good as that is, there might be a better way. And when I come back, is it okay if I share that with you? As a result of that, you just set the door to maybe look at a rollover or look at moving money from part A to part B in terms of how it works in their overall plan. But the big question is it working? Because now that individual or that couple has got to really stop and have that reflective look at what they're doing. And yeah, I put some money in that mutual fund and it really hasn't worked. Or yeah, I went and bought some gold and silver and it's maintained its value, but that's really all it's done. I've not seen any real growth in that account. Or yeah, I've got some money in a CD, or I bought an annuity a few years ago, but it's really not performing that well. When you understand what's working, you get to brag on them for what they're doing that's working, but identifying what's not working well or could be working better, now you get to be the hero. You get to brag on them for the decisions they made that are well. You get to compliment them for doing something, but then bring your knowledge and expertise to bear to say, here's a better way to do it if you're interested in learning more. Understand this. It's not about the tool. It's about the solution. Products are tools. Annuities, life insurance, long-term care, MedSup, Med Advantage, Part D, disability income, short-term disability, whatever it is you sell, those are tools. They are not solutions. So when it comes to selling, you need to understand solution-based selling is how you're going to create the opportunity to not just sell more annuities, but to sell everything else that's in your toolbox. And all of those tools that are in your toolbox can be used. But if all you've got's a hammer, every solution you try to solve looks like a nail. And if you're a one-trick pony, you're only going to be somewhat successful in this industry. So what do I mean by that? Here's what I want to tell you. When you meet with a client, you want to start at the top of the screen and you want to ask good questions. The goal there is to identify the problem. Now, in that first meeting, you don't want to make a recommendation or make a pitch because it comes off to the client as you're trying to sell your pet product. To be seen as an authority figure, an expert, and a leader, they want to know, just like a doctor that's going to do lab work to verify before they issue a prescription, you want to do the same thing. Ask questions, identify the problem, ask their permission to have a day or two to research the solution so you can bring the best solution to bear when you get back together. You then schedule the opportunity to get back together with that client to present the solution, not the product, but what the product is going to do for them. Show them the desired outcome. John, you told me that you wanted to have $1,500 a month. I was able to get you $1,800 a month, and that's going to be guaranteed for your life and as long as your spouse lives too. Does that solve your problem? Yes. And oh, by the way, John, even if you and your wife live for the next 20 years and you both die, there's still going to be approximately X dollars left over that we get a chance to leave to your kids. Is that okay? Yes. Well, guess what? We just sold them an annuity with an income rider with a joint payout that if they die within a specified period of time, we know about what the residual value of that account's going to be. They said yes to the solution before they ever saw the tool you pull out of the toolbox. Once they buy the solution, you're then going to come in and present the product as the tool. So understand this. Selling takes place when you're presenting the solution. This is where you're persuading them. This is where you're selling them. This is where you want to get the yes, is when they say, I want that solution. That solves my problem. That lets me get to the goal or objective I want to achieve. That's exactly what I want. It then allows you to go to the product toolbox and pull out the tool. And then you get to say, here's how this tool creates the outcome that you said that you wanted. So where do you look for opportunity as we wrap this up? If you're looking for an opportunity to sell more annuities, here's some conversations and thoughts that you want to think about with your clients. How many of your clients have a bank CD? we have a unique tool on our website that gives you the opportunity to look at multi-year guarantee annuities, and it's updated every single day. If clients have a CD, April is one of the top months for CD renewals. 6 months later, they're going to renew again. Those are the two biggest months for CD rollovers. Bank CD alternatives is a great place to look for an annuity sale. Anybody that has an individual retirement account, an IRA or a Roth IRA, as they're getting closer to retirement, they may not want that money exposed to the market. There again is an opportunity for an annuity. If you're working in the employer market, you can use an annuity to set up a SEP IRA or to create a simple IRA that's payroll deducted. If you're working in the school market or the government market, you can go in and set up a TSA 403B plan. If you're working in the church market or you're working in the temple or the synagogue or the mosque market, you can go in and set up a unique 403B plan for churches, temples, synagogues, and mosques, a 403B1 or a 403B9. Where else can you look for an opportunity to sell an annuity? If you've got an individual that's received a judgment or a jury award, an individual that's going through a career change that likely has a 401k or some retirement account they need to roll over. Someone who's downsizing a home may have some additional cash they need to park somewhere for future spending needs. Anybody that's getting ready to retire or has recently retired. Anybody that has yet to have the conversation about optimizing Social Security and identifying when is the best time to claim Social Security, that's an annuity conversation as well. When someone talks about planning for survivors and those they're leaving behind, again, an annuity conversation. An individual that has just lost a spouse and likely received a death benefit from a life insurance policy, the ability to move that money into an annuity can guarantee that that money is not squandered, but then creates that ongoing paycheck that that surviving spouse is going to need for the rest of his or her life. And if you've got a situation where you're dealing with special needs adult children that are going to require care for the rest of their lives, then you may need to use an annuity in conjunction with a special needs trust so that you don't cause that child to be unintentionally disqualified from state aid that they may need to get services and support they need when the parents are no longer there. An annuity can be a valuable funding tool for that. And of course, if you've got clients that have a charitable bent and they're focused on charitable giving, leaving money to their church, to a foundation, to a cause that they care about, those are other opportunities to sell an annuity. So having said all that, let me ask one last question. What are you waiting for? So at this point, here's what you've learned. You've learned about annuities and how they work. You've learned the conversations you need to be listening for to have an opportunity to identify this could be an annuity sale. You've also had the opportunity to understand and learn what are the questions I need to be asking so I can identify what they own, why they bought it, what they wanted to do for them, is it working, and is there a better way? Now you've seen multiple opportunities where to be looking and in what stage of life you need to be focusing on clients and prospective clients that could be an annuity prospect for you. So here's my challenge to you. I want you to stop making excuses about why you're not taking action to act on what I shared with you today. I want you, as you're meeting with your clients and your prospects, to stop talking and start listening. Pause your ideas. Pause your preconceptions, pause the idea of what you want to sell them because you only know how to sell one product or you only want to sell one way, and listen to what your clients actually want you to do for them. And then get with us here at Vision Advisors, and we're going to help you solve those money problems, identifying a suitable solution that's going to meet their needs and exceed their needs as best we can. So when you go back and present the solution, you're going to have the tool in the toolbox to be able to present, but we're also going to help give you some guidance on how to present the benefits of that solution so you've got an opportunity to see success. So as we wrap up, here's my challenge. Let's go find and solve some more money problems. Who is it you can have a conversation with next week to start the dialogue around what we've learned today? My challenge to you is this. As we finish up today, make a list of 5 people you can have a conversation with next week to go through what we covered today in this training and start having the annuity conversation with them. You're going to uncover more opportunity, and you're going to have a chance to write more annuities, more life insurance, more long-term care, more whatever it is that you do by doing that. And once you've identified what it is they want you to solve, give us a call at Vision Advisors, 800-505-8489, or go to our website, visionadvisorsinc.com, scroll to the bottom of the homepage, and book a strategy call with one of our consultants, and let's talk about that opportunity and position you for success. I'm John Terry with Vision Advisors. I want to say thanks for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this. I know I've shared some things that will benefit you if you will take action. So let us know how we can help you. Have a great weekend, and let's go create some annuity opportunities next week.